You go.
On today's episode, we have the founder of what might be the next Uber for all of your home needs. It's an incredible story. We go through so many fun topics. He talks about one of the biggest losses he's ever had and how he got his way out of it. He even talks about a private island. That's pretty freaking cool. It's not an episode you're going to want to miss. Be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned till the end because he has an awesome, awesome answer for success. And I know you're going to love it. And most importantly, enjoy the episode. Wherever you are and however you're listening, thank you for being back with us on another episode of Winning the Moment. Today I have Matt Dickerson, and he is the CEO of Tdooz. Matt, thanks for being here.
Pleasure to be here.
So we were just getting into it. Matt and I both lived in Queen Creek, Arizona. What a random thing. And so did you grow up there or did you just live there in your adult life?
Grew up in Mesa. So
you did grow up in Mesa.
Grew up in Mesa, went to Arizona State for undergrad. So I went to high school in Mesa, Westwood High School, undergrad at Arizona State, and then moved after that.
How did you like Arizona State?
It's a good school. It's a big school. I got a degree in human communication, which is kind of the scientific study of communication.
Okay.
So not like the broadcasting side. It was more of studying rhetoric, English lit, things like that.
Interesting.
Performance studies.
What did you want to do? Like when you were going to school, what were you thinking you were going to do?
That's a great question. So initially I wanted to be a dentist, which has nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
But that's when I started school. I thought, I'm going to be a dentist.
What was your reasoning for that?
I don't know. Seemed like a good job.
Just because of good money and every dentist you know is wealtty.
Growing up, there were literally three options.
Especially in Mesa.
Yeah, totally.
It's like a dentist or the braces person. What are they called?
Orthodontist.
Orthodontist, yeah.
No, there were three. there were probably three career paths that were laid out for me: lawyer, doctor, or accountant. Accountant was kind of the semi-optional path. So that was kind of what I thought. But then I got into it, and actually, what I wanted to do was corporate training. So when I was starting, all my family are attorneys.
Okay.
And so when I started, I thought corporate training sounds like a cool gig. I thought it would be interesting. I did a few internships there while at Arizona State, but I just ultimately didn't love it. So I ended up going to law school after Arizona State.
Did you do law school at Arizona State?
No, UNLV.
Oh, okay. And so did you pass the bar and become an attorney?
So I have never practiced. Well, I worked for the federal court out of law school. So out of law school, I went and got a job as a federal clerk is what they're called. It's basically in-house counsel for a judge. Did that for 2 years and then got right back into business. That was my plan all along. It was interesting.
Well, being a lawyer is never going to be a bad thing.
No, and it's a fantastic education. But the problem for me, and it was always interesting in law school with all my law school buddies who all wanted to be attorneys, but I came from a family of attorneys and I had kind of been in that environment.
Yeah.
And I never thought of that as a career path I wanted. But no one told me that the JD MBA was an option. I didn't even know the degree existed. Until literally probably 3 months into law school, I had friends that would disappear from all of the kind of, we'll call them optional classes, or not optional, but the classes that weren't required. And finally I was like, hey, where do you go on Tuesdays? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm getting a JD MBA. I'm like, you could do that? So I didn't know that was an option because that was my plan. I was in college. I was like, either I'm going to go get a Juris Doctorate, or I'm going to get an MBA. I didn't think I could do both. And so I chose Juris Doctorate because I figured that would teach me things I couldn't learn otherwise.
Sure. And
so I went that route instead of the MBA.
Which school experience do you like better, ASU or UNLV?
I mean, they're totally different, right? I mean, ASU, especially with human communication, there are some pretty cool classes. Public speaking, study of rhetoric. I mean, rhetoric was a fascinating topic, especially in the more advanced classes, learning how people communicate with others.
Psychology is fascinating.
Oh, yeah. And the psychology of communication is just, it's incredible.
I'll tell you a story. So I just got back from a hospitality event in Tucson. Mm-hmm. So you get assigned where you're going to sit every breakfast, lunch, and dinner randomly, on purpose. So you have to network with different people, right? Yeah. So you can't just make friends and then sit with them the whole time.
Sure.
So I'm at this table and there's 6 of us. There's 6 dudes happen to be at this table. And they say, give us the best advice, or with your peers at your table, share the best advice you've ever heard or received, and then like make a synopsis of it, and then we'll have one person from every table stand up and share what the takeaways are. And so I was sitting in the front seat, so the person on the right always starts. So I jump in, give my advice, goes around the table. And I'm thinking to myself, because I love watching human psychology, so I'm like, okay, I know someone is supposed to take charge. And I can do it, but I'm not going to because I'm more fascinated on what happens if I don't.
That's fun.
And so I don't say anything and I just give my advice. And there's a pad of paper and a pen in the middle of the table. So I'm like, is anyone going to pick it up? You know?
Sure.
And I give my advice. Next guy goes. So we make it all the way around the table. No one takes a note. No one ever says like, well, hey, real quick, before we get started, anyone want to volunteer to like stand up? No one does anything. I'm like, well, this is fascinating. So everyone goes around the table. Then they start at the back of the room with the microphone. They go to a table. They hand it to someone. They stand up and they have like the paper, you know, and they're doing it. And a lot of times it was women stand up with their notebook and they're like, so Matt said this and Cody said that. And it's getting closer and closer to our table.
Still no one's.
So I'm thinking someone's going to say like, oh shit, guys, who wants to do it, you know? And I still won't say anything because I want to see what happens. And I'm like, in the event that no one does it, I'll do it, you know?
Sure.
And so we're getting closer. And now we're to the table that it's very clear we're the next table. Still nothing. So Heather comes over with the microphone and basically just puts it towards the table. Nobody moves. So then I get up and I grab the microphone and I was able to remember what everyone had shared. And so I was able to do it. But it was, and also, mind you, I'm with like executive leaders.
Right.
And maybe all of them were playing the same game as me, but I don't think so.
That is such a fascinating thing. There are so few people, though, in the world that want to lead. And you see that in rooms like that and experiences like that. And it blows my mind because I'm the type that's always like, listen, I'm not shy.
Yeah,
I'll get up in front of any quantity of people and say and talk for however long you want me to talk. And when you want me to sit down, cool, I'll sit down. I also don't have an ego about it, but it's just like I have no issue with that.
Yeah, sure. There's no fear.
And I'm so surprised at how often that happens and how many people just recede into, I want someone else to lead.
Yeah, it was very fascinating. Well, and then what was interesting is, so after I did that, and then I went, and so we were there to like meet with different vendors, and so you had like these 15-minute speed dates, all these different vendors, and I sit down, the person across from me goes, that was amazing. I said, what's that? He goes, you just remembered what everybody said. And he was like, were you like a waiter? Like, how were you able to do that? And I'm thinking like, it wasn't that complicated, you know, but here they felt like these other peers in the room, like, wow, look what he just did. And so it was just a very interesting, like sociological experiment that took place at this event.
I have those moments sometimes where because I'm like you in that regard. I like to observe people and I'm thinking about things analytically on lots of different levels. And sometimes I leave moments like that and I think irrationally, but I think, man, we are screwed as a society.
Oh, I definitely think that about what's the generation coming up. You know, like, well, I coach my son's soccer team and he's 8 and I'll be talking and the kids will just be like looking around. And I'm like, hey, when I'm talking to you, you look at me. Like, and I should even have, like, that should just be a natural, like just a human instinct to look at the person who's talking to you, but it's not.
I've been amazed with teams that I've ran, with employees that I've had. I've had hundreds of employees over the years. And I'm always amazed at how passive people are with communication. I'm a pick up the phone and call somebody, especially the first time you have a communication. Sure. If you could do it in person, even better.
Yeah.
But have that personal touch, email, video calls, all that is great once a relationship has been established and you're just disseminating information with each other. But the amount of times with the team where you'd ask somebody if there's a sales lead, it's like, hey, did you reach out to the contact? Oh, yeah. How? Yeah. Oh, I shot him an email. Did you call him? Oh, no. Why? Why didn't? Oh, I didn't. And
because they're afraid.
But why? Did they think someone's going to jump through the phone?
Well, what's interesting is that, like, you know, I'll make my kids order food at restaurants.
I love it.
Because I need them to interact with strangers in a somewhat professional capacity because otherwise they are afraid of it.
Yeah.
You know, like there's like a phobia now, like it's an actual thing, like a phobia where you can't order food. And even like in drive-thrus, it's like, you're not even interacting with the person. You're talking to a screen and they're afraid of it. But the difference is, you know, we didn't have the luxury of communicating through written form for most of our communication. Like the only way in fact, I can remember this must have been 4th grade. We're at a party and all the dads are talking and this dad's talking to my dad. He goes, yeah, I got some kid who's calling my daughter. He's got the nerve to call. We're in 4th grade and this kid keeps calling my daughter. And my dad knew it was me. But, you know, like we used to have to call the house and ask.
I remember.
Is so-and-so available?
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine my kids doing that now.
No.
You know, and I had these one friends who were twins, Patrick and Sean Moran. I'd call and I would say, is Patrick or Sean there? And the dad would say, well, who do you want to talk to? and he would make me choose one every time. And I just feel like those opportunities that you wouldn't have even thought of as learning opportunities in our childhood because it was just life, a lot of those opportunities are removed. And even like food now, like if you wanted Applebee's when I was a kid, you had to go to Applebee's. Now you can just order it and have it dropped off at your door.
Yeah. DoorDash will handle it. Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. Imagine calling a house and wanting to talk to a girl for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's like you get the older brother.
Or the older brother or the dad's as bad as he gets. And if the older brother's just old enough that he kind of knows you, then it's even worse.
He's just needling you. And he's like, why do you want to talk to my sister?
Yeah.
What's going on, dude?
I mean, and now looking back, like how fortunate were we to have that cold call, basically, you know?
Yeah. Hose water and bicycles till dark.
So what do you do for your teams when they're in that situation?
I mean, train, right? I used to have a path, and it was hard to create a flow chart, but I'd create a flow chart of saying, okay, this is the path of a sales call. Even if most of my companies haven't had real true sales, we're most managing projects, most things are inbound.
Okay.
But if someone is reaching out wanting a product or wanting a service, step one is always establish a personal connection. If you can do it in person, great. If you can't do it in person, over the phone. And you gather as much information as you can about that person then and there and answer questions back and forth. Then you immediately follow up with an email right after that call, summarizing what you talked about, which is, hey,
sure,
Cody, it was great to talk to you a few minutes ago. Here's what we discussed. Here's what we talked about. Here's what I'm looking to get from you. As soon as I get back from you, here's what you're going to get from me. And then following that, I would always have a 3-day rule of follow-up on that. If there was not and then that's when the choose your own adventure starts to happen. If they haven't responded to that, then you go a week or then you go a month. And I had kind of a cadence that followed on sales calls. But to me, it was always an in-person, again, phone sometimes the only way you can do it, but always a physical conversation with another human.
Well, that's why I love like the event that I was just at, because when you spend 2.5-3 days with a group of people, I will always forge a meaningful relationship with that every single time with someone that will be, maybe it's a future opportunity, or maybe it's an opportunity now, or maybe they're just they're an opportunity for an introduction to an opportunity that I need.
Yes.
But when you spend that time with them, that can't be replaced in any other capacity.
No, I had an experience once. I was flying to Korea to visit with a vendor of ours from last company that I owned, and I was in first class on the window seats in a Delta. I can't remember the plane type, but it was when there was just the one lay down seat on the window.
Oh, sure. Uh-huh.
So I have the slide up, and we're flying over Alaska, and I'd never flown over the Arctic Circle. And I was like, this is unbelievable. I'm like, there's Denali, there's Anchorage, there's Denali, and you start to go over the Bering Strait, and you come across, and I'm staring out the window for, I don't know, it must have been an hour. Finally, like I break my stare, just in awe about what I'm seeing. And I look to the cabin, and every other window in the entire plane is closed. Entire plane. And I'm kind of scanning like this until I look up to I don't know how I didn't start here, but to the seat in front of me. It was open, and there was this guy staring out. And I was like, hey, what's up? And he's like, isn't it amazing? And I said, it is amazing. How is every window closed? He's like, I don't know. I make this flight all the time. And he's like, I never get sick of this. It's just unreal. And so we started chatting. He was one of the senior vice presidents of Boeing. Like he ran the Asia division.
Wow.
And so we start this whole conversation. He invited me out to Seattle to go tour the whole facility. And you build this relationship because of a personal connection that happened. And I think it makes me sad more than anything that so many people don't take those opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not about sales. I'm not in the aircraft industry. It doesn't benefit me in any way at all. The relationship doesn't even benefit me in any way, other than a human connection with someone who's doing something awesome in a totally other field and other sphere. But too many people just close the shade, lay their bed down, and go to sleep.
Yeah, I was on an airplane once going to Salt Lake, and the gal next to me, I could tell she wanted to talk to me. I had my headphone on, I was watching something, but I could tell that she just wanted to. So I took my headphones off, and she was like, "Oh, I have I had a picture of my team on my iPad." So that's a cool team. I was like, "Oh yeah, thanks." And I was like, "I saw you were writing a speech." I didn't mean to like be nosy. I just noticed, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And she was speaking at South by Southwest. Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, what are you speaking about?" And she's like, "Well, I'm actually an avatar for a video game." And it was like, what a fascinating thing. And so we started talking, and she was like, yeah, I need to actually get some branding before I go, because I need like business cards and stuff. And like, this is all new to me. And I was like, oh, well, we do that. Like, I could totally help you. And I needed to sign up for this coaching thing that I wanted to hire this. I do speaking events for Winning the Moment, and I wanted to hire the speaking coach. It was like this really great opportunity, but I couldn't like justify the company paying for it without like some other reason. And so she told me what she wanted, so I pitched her so that the profitability of that project paid for the speaking thing.
Those are the best.
And then I did it, and then I got the speaking coach, and now I'm a certified Vistage speaker, all because of that conversation on an airplane.
So cool.
You know, so it's like life's amazing when you're willing to pay attention.
100%.
Okay, so back to school. So UNLV and ASU are different. So you were saying about how you love the classes at ASU. What was your favorite part of being at school at UNLV?
I mean, law school is just fascinating. I mean, so much of what you see in the movies about law school is true. I mean,
was it way harder than what you were doing at ASU?
Oh yeah,
really?
Way harder. Yeah, law school is hard. I mean, I don't think there's any way around it.
Would you say it's as hard as like even your professional career, or harder in some capacities? Like, how would you equate that?
Well, it depends on how ADHD you are.
Okay.
So I think I'm wildly ADHD, which is why I tend towards entrepreneurship, I suppose. Because it's a superpower in that world, but
sure.
But it is very difficult because they give you unrealistic assignments every night. I mean, I'm in law school in a few decades, so it's been a long time. But I'm assuming it's pretty much the same now, where they'll give you a 500-page reading assignment, and it's not like go read Twilight. It's go read dense legal material, and it's just impossible. You can't finish it, so you have to learn how to digest massive amounts of information by reading quickly, by highlighting key points, by knowing where information lives on the page. And it's moderately interesting. Some things are interesting, some classes are interesting, but others are not. Like, I really enjoyed the hands-on classes like trial advocacy, and I did really well in trial advocacy, or arbitration mediation. I did really well in those classes, but like contracts law or securities, those were hard classes for me because it's just really dry material.
Yeah.
I am not wired to just sit there and study. Plus, with the inability to focus as like maybe some others, I mean, I would have to go to the corner of the law library, which was already the quietest place on campus, put on the Bose noise canceling headphones and just force myself to read and read and read and read and read because it just, I couldn't.
Were you like have any background noise in your headphones, or like
just noise canceling?
Just that.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, I could not have. Yeah, I could not have because they
even like a piano or something, like nothing.
No, like if I had anything at all, my brain would just be like, oh, that's a really interesting musical number. Oh, I wonder what else that artist did.
I like what you said about how it's a superpower in entrepreneurship because I mean, almost always visionaries have that tendency. Yeah. You know what I mean? You got to have the other pieces. But the visionaries are the ones who are creating things and making things happen. So it's interesting is you speak of school in a very fond way as an entrepreneur, which a lot of times there are entrepreneurs who are like, oh, don't need it, wish I didn't do it. But I don't feel like that's your vibe at all. No,
because there's great value in it. I mean, so many, and you talk to entrepreneurs all the time. I have lots of friends that are entrepreneurs, and many people have they have lots of gaps in their education and their learning, and those gaps become very apparent, especially at large scale. And one of the things that's great about law school is it teaches you, the way I describe it, to see dead people. Like, you think of Sixth Sense, like you see all of the problems ahead of everything else. So when I look at a thing that we're looking to do, whether it's a company or a service we're looking to add or a product or whatever it is, I see all of the ways that could all go wrong and right all at once. And then I go, okay, we need this, and this. But that happens partially because of the way my brain's wired, but also because of the education that I have.
Yeah. See, I was going to say, so you attest a portion of that to the education.
100%. Now, ask me to go draft a legal brief. Oh, boy. AI has been very helpful in that regard.
Yeah.
having the training, but then to know generally what it needs to be.
Sure.
In fact, I just went to lunch with a couple of law school friends a few weeks ago. We were talking about this, how now I can draft a contract or terms and conditions, like with the current company I'm working on, drafting terms and then putting into chat and Grok and saying, okay, here's what I've drafted for this company. Here are the stipulations that I have of what I'm trying to build. I want you to compare against these 5 companies and their terms and conditions as publicly available for these sections and tell me where I'm missing something or where there's incongruency. And then it'll spit it back, but I have enough of an education to go, okay, yeah, that's right. I don't agree with that. So no, I would never... Education is a wonderful thing. You can receive it in a lot of ways.
Sure.
I have lots of friends that have not gone to law school or don't have a college degree that are far more intelligent than me and in certain avenues probably know a lot more even common sense stuff than I do. But education teaches you a lot of how to think, and I don't think you can underestimate the value of those letters either. There's been a lot of doors that have been opened for me.
Sure.
The last company that I owned, the last company that I sold was a manufacturing company, and I'd sit in these boardrooms with executives of massive multinational corporations, and they just saw me as the manufacturer.
Yeah.
And then they would get my card and it would say Matthew Dickerson, JD. And they're like, wait, you're a lawyer? I'm like, yeah. Oh, wow. And then like that would like stupidly, it shouldn't,
but it does.
But stupidly attributed all kinds of value of what they think a lawyer has to me. And
well, that's really funny because that's part of the reason for this podcast is because when I do a speaking event, they look it up and they're like, oh, he's got 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Like he's relevant.
Yes.
And my message is exactly the same, whether those subscribers exist or not.
That's exactly
but
right.
it's just another, because I don't have the JD part. So I need whatever I can to create a sense of credibility for when I'm speaking to a room of people who have no idea who I am.
Yeah. Now, I don't put that credit. Now, it's funny for me when I'm hiring people, like right now I'm building this company. I've got seven members of the dev team now. I don't care if they've graduated college. I don't, it doesn't like, I want to know what you can do.
Yeah.
That's what matters to me. And I'm going to ask enough questions and I'm going to give you the way I describe it to my team. And they don't love this, but give them enough rope to hang themselves. Like, yeah, you say you can do it. Cool. Do it.
Yeah.
Show me. And so I don't care, but the world generally seems to care.
Well, and I think there's so much value in what you shared before about like the 500 pages you had to read.
Yeah.
And just knowing you had to do it. There's lots of times when you're an entrepreneur that there's something you have to do that you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. And maybe you don't even think you can do it.
Yeah.
But you still have to do it.
Yep.
And so I think building that like scar tissue of, I can do this thing. I think that has a ton of value.
Yeah. Hustle and outwork is key. If you don't have that work ethic for business or entrepreneurship,
then none of it matters anyways.
None of it matters.
Would you go back and do it again the same way?
No, I'd get a JD MBA for sure.
You would?
Yeah.
That'd be the only thing that'd be different.
I like my undergrad. I mean, I think if I was wired differently, I'd get a degree in accounting. So anyone that ever asks me that says, hey, what would you do?
Yeah.
And they want advice that are high school going to college, I say, get an undergrad in accounting and get a JD MBA. If you're thinking of business, that gives you the broadest possible exposure to so many things and makes you very valuable in the corporate world. And quite frankly,
and for yourself.
And for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's the path I tell people to go. If they can tolerate an undergrad in accounting,
it'd be rough.
I can't even fathom it.
And I do finances. Like that's what I do. And
I know. You're CFO now, right?
Yeah, but I never went to school.
Yeah,
you know?
It's tough. I've had to learn it through hard knocks and as well.
Yeah.
And staring at P&Ls and balance sheets is not my forte.
No, it's not. It's not fun.
It's not fun.
I try and make it as easy. I think what's unique for me is because I don't have this educated background, is that I try and make all my finances as simple to look at as possible.
Yeah.
So that way, like anyone can distill it. I've seen some financial statements from people and it's like, what even is? I can't even decipher. Is it good or bad? I can't even tell.
Did we make money?
Yeah, it's just like let's just make it easy.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay, so you did 2 years working for a judge, and then what was next for you?
And then back into business. So then I started an import company with a friend of mine in 2006.
And what made you think to even do that?
Well, I mean, I always wanted to get back into business.
Yeah.
I had owned prior to in college and in high school even had always been entrepreneur minded. In college, I owned a couple internet companies that I ran. I didn't ever have really a normal job. And then
so you've always had the entrepreneurial spirit.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing today. Like you talking about AI, the ways to be an entrepreneur today. I just watched a video of a guy who goes and buys canvas prints at like TJ Maxx, and then he buys plaster. And he just plasters them like randomly with his fingers and just like whatever design. He's like, there's no right or wrong way. It's like, you're just doing it. And then he puts them and he like frames them. He has a spot in his house where there's like nice table and like pots and stuff and hangs it up, takes a picture and sells it on Facebook Marketplace for like $200 to $300. You know, and he's just turning them. You know what I mean? And it's like, it can be that easy. It's amazing what you can do with the technology available today.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, I bought secondhand shoes from a store called Last Chance. Did you ever go to Last Chance in Phoenix? Nordstrom's like returns store.
Oh, yeah. I call it Nordstrom Rack.
Well, it's not Nordstrom Rack. So Nordstrom Racks are everywhere. Last Chance was where everything that was returned to Nordstrom ends up.
Interesting. No, I never heard of that.
So yeah, during college, I ran an online store where I sold
all the stuff from there.
Yeah, like Mephisto, Ferragamo, Allen Edmonds, all men's dress shoes.
Yeah.
Made a killing.
That's amazing.
Made a killing.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I would buy Jordans on eBay and then sell them at my school.
Yeah.
Because like they didn't know how eBay worked. And so
I was a power seller on eBay.
Oh, you
back
were?
When that was that's what I did all throughout college. And then I not really, there's nothing to sell as far as a company like that. So I gave, taught the tricks to a friend of mine who ran it for years after that.
Wow.
When I was in law school.
Okay, so this import business, so what were you guys doing there?
Yeah, so we were bringing in construction material, doors, mostly doors, but doors and trim for casino projects, hotel projects.
And how did you decide to be in that space? Like what made you decide to go that way?
Yeah, a friend of mine, Bob Dias, that I went to law school with, he is from India. He was American citizen as well, but he was from India. His family was from there, so he had connections there. And so we would just get stuff manufactured in India and bring it over.
Oh, so that was your manufacturing connection. But what made you choose casino doors?
I don't even know.
Because like that's a niche of a niche
of a niche. It's a random niche. Yeah. I think it was just he had a connection like with door manufacturing factories, and we had some ins with some hotels and some door suppliers, and so we just started doing that.
Wow. And so how big did you grow that to be? Like you said, you've managed lots of people.
Yeah. So that company, we only ran for a few years. That was one of the tragic experiences.
Oh,
actually.
It was? Yeah. Oh, good. People love those.
Oh yeah. I gave a talk at Kiln, it was a couple months ago. I think it's on YouTube, but about failure. And this is one of those stories where, so we ran it only for about a year and a half. And we had projects. I can't remember all of the hotels, and I don't want to misspeak since this is going into the internet forever.
Sure.
But a number of big name hotels on the Strip in 2007. Multi.
And were you doing like the room doors?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, millions of dollars. So I think it was like I don't even want to guess wrong.
Yeah, well, because one hotel can have 10,000 rooms.
That's right. So millions of dollars in these well-named brand hotels, and most people don't know this that didn't live in Vegas or around Las Vegas, but the 2008 crisis as we know it happened in Vegas in 2007 or started in Las Vegas.
It was because like one of the first markets.
It was Florida as well, but because of hospitality, the writing was on the wall and people didn't actually have cash to travel or move. And so the building industry just collapsed in 2007. So we had a number of casino projects where they effectively said to us, listen, you're not getting paid.
Oh, shit.
Sue us, don't, whatever, but this isn't happening. And these are projects where the steel was vertical for years after this.
Oh, well, I mean, the one project, what is now Fountain Blue.
That's right.
That was a steel structure for about 20 years.
Yeah, that may or may not have been one of the projects.
I bet it was.
And so I was 20.
And you're never going to win a legal battle with them anyways.
Never.
You couldn't because they'd litigate you.
That's 100%.
They would just out-litigate you forever and ever and ever.
So my partner, who was also an attorney, we talked this over, and we chased millions of dollars. And I was in my late 20s at this point. And I just said, listen, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life suing these, unnamed major hotel chains, which you would know. I said, I'm not interested in it. He's like, well, but we have contracts. I'm like, yeah, I get it, but I just don't see it happening. And so I wrote over my interest in the company to him. No, just $0. Said, here you go.
So you took no debt then either?
Took no debt, but it bankrupted me completely.
Oh, okay.
Because I had put so much into it.
But it could have been worse having the debt too.
I mean, I lost everything.
Yeah, so I guess that's true.
In my late 20s, right, as an attorney or as
How old were you then? Like 27-ish?
Yeah. Yeah. I lost my house, cars, everything, dignity. It was horrible.
Wow.
It was a crushing blow at that age.
Were you married or single?
Yeah, married, had a child.
Oh God, so much worse.
So much worse. And the thing probably more than anything is socially, is so much of interactions with people is your reputation.
Yeah.
And so when you feel everything crumble, it's hard to feel like, how do you recover from this? Because people perceive you as a failure, even though they may understand. What was hard is because it was 2007 that all this happened, this hadn't happened to the rest of the world. Everyone didn't have a brother, cousin, or parent that lost their home.
Yeah.
So I just got that attribution of being a failure and had to try to pick up my life from that point.
Are you still married to your wife?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So how did she handle? Did she like put any blame on you? Because I'm sure she would have been young too. So did she?
No.
Like, was she angry with you?
My wife was wonderful. Yeah.
Because that would be very normal to see. Like if she didn't know the inner workings of it, and then she felt like you blew it all and lost everything.
Yeah, no, my wife is so supportive, unbelievably. I love my wife dearly. To have someone like that through difficulties like that,
yeah,
and to have an experience like that young,
It's so valuable, really.
Oh, I tell people all the time that failure is such an important thing to go through.
I couldn't agree more.
And to be able to experience that at a young age in business, and then to have enough wherewithal to, at least in the moment, to recognize I'm not going to waste my life in a pursuit to go after somebody. I'm going to go create rather than try to tear down for my gain.
I tell college kids all the time when they ask for advice, I say, go fail as fast as you can.
Yes.
Because it's inevitable anyways, and you're going to learn so fast. And like at that point, you don't have a kid, you don't have a wife, you may not have a house. There were 2 separate occasions where I made really bad decisions and lost everything that I had. It wasn't a lot because I was young.
Right.
But to me, it was everything.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change either of those situations now because it allowed me to treat things in the way that I did to protect myself.
Absolutely.
From losing it when I had something really to lose.
I'm 46 now, and I tell people if I had like the thickness of skin that I'm able to gain now in business and the perspective, if I was to take the problems I even experienced today and dump them on that 26, 27-year-old kid, I would be in the corner in the fetal position, just rocking back and forth because you just learn through failure.
Yeah.
An old business partner used to say the gun's not loaded. He said, there aren't debtor's prisons. He's like, at the end of the day, like, what do you lose? Physical things? So what? Make money again. Do something else. Like, have that understanding that as long as you're honest and you're in your dealings with other people, as long as you're ethical and you have your reputation, just start over. And be willing, I tell people all the time too, be willing at any age to learn from somebody else. Be willing to work for free. Be willing to go gain experience and relationship. It will benefit you. And don't have so much hubris to think that you're the only one that knows this thing. And if you fail, anyone's going to fail. Like, just be more open to failure and learning.
I was just telling my wife today, because today's the last day of school.
Yeah.
And I was like, I honestly can't comprehend that it's summer again, because I felt like we just had summer.
100%.
And I was like, it's such a great lesson in life that the things you worry about are irrelevant because you're going to be past it before it even matters.
That's right.
Like you can be worried about what's going to happen here, what's going to happen with this, but it's like time goes so fast that you'll have solved it before it ever became a problem.
And that's what, with what you do. And I know a lot of this is wondering about things I'm doing, but like winning the moment, like what you teach is such a great principle, because so many people get lost in the abyss. Get lost in the abyss of everything. Yeah. That they don't live in any particular moment.
Or the one place they're not is where it's present.
Right.
The only thing that's real is the only place that they're not. And that's the saddest part. It's the only part of your life that's relevant. Yeah. And they're living in the future or they're dwelling in the past.
Right. And you can't dwell in either. And I see so many people that waste their life in the past and a bad decision that they made. And it's like, you screwed up. What's the key and Peele? Yeah, you done screwed up, Ron. You can't go back.
Can't change it.
You can't change it. And so there's no point, there's nothing to do but learn from it. Yeah. So learn from it and move on, move forward, make a different decision. Or if you just made the right decision, but you just fumbled the ball, well, pick the ball up.
I struggled with that. I also struggled with, now I call them a happiness flag. I'd plant my happiness flag in the future of like, oh, when I get this promotion or my bank account's at this, or when I have this car. And so, and that was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be happy as soon as I get that. Yeah. But the problem is our mind is programmed to make us feel right. And so let's say that my happiness flag was, I'll be happy when I'm through the summer, when my kids are back at school, let's say that. Well, then if I have a moment of happiness, my brain is going to be like, no, Cody, remember? Mm-hmm. We decided together, you and me. Yeah. We're waiting until school year. So you can't be happy because you already said that. So then in order to validate what you believe, all the things that suck, you'll be like, see, if the kids were in school, it'd be so much better. And those are the things you'll see versus like, oh man, I got to hang out with my kid this morning and like, we just swam all day, But
the juxtaposition that's so hard as an entrepreneur is there are those that are so kumbaya that is like, oh yeah, I'm just in this moment, man. But you also have to set goals.
You do.
You also have to achieve. And like someone like me who's just, and I know you're this way too, is just like, okay, I've got these things I want to accomplish and I want to do. And that's the hardest thing, is to take that thing you're working on and go, okay, I'm going to get back to you tomorrow and set it on a shelf and make a conscious decision, because it's so easy to get lost in achievement and in what you're trying to accomplish. And that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
But being able to have the wherewithal to also go, but it's also a good thing to go play a game with my son, or it's also a good thing to go on a walk with my daughter and my dog, or it's also a good thing to go on a date with my wife, even though that is taking away from the thing that I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah, my speaking coach I told you about, he goes, I don't understand what you're saying. He's like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So you don't have any goals? And I was like, no, you're missing the point. You have to have the big, hairy, audacious goal that you're after.
Yes.
But I can't get to my 3-year goal today. But what I can do is the thing in front of me right now that I know I have to do every day.
Yeah.
So in 3 years, I can be at that thing. You know, like if I want to lose 100 pounds, I can't lose it today. But if I make that right choice to eat good, I can move a bracelet, go to the gym, move a bracelet, take a walk, move a bracelet. And if I do that and I win 10 things every single day, in 3 years, I'm inevitably going to arrive at the place I want it to be at. But I have to make the tiny decisions today. And the great thing is I don't have to be perfect every day.
That's right.
So some days I won't move a bracelet. Some days I may not even do it at all. I won't even do the game. But then I have the game to go back to.
I can't remember the story, so it's probably not even worth trying to tell. But the cycling team for the British cycling team, this is a not current but older. There was some coach that talked about that in 1% increments and how
I know the story. I can't remember the specifics.
But you know what I'm talking. How if you can just make a 1% increment over time, that starts to add up. And they had this championship cycling team that would just win time and time again because they'd make a 1% increment in their gear, a 1% increment in their muscle fatigue, 1% increment in all of these little categories. And it was small, but in aggregate, it made this big change. And that's the miracle of making small incremental steps, because most people don't. They just go after the big goal. And all they're doing is the big goal, and they're missing all the little points that would build them along the way.
Well, part of my discovery as I was building out my foundation is like, what do I believe is the key for me to succeed? Because I was always really good at showing up for other people, but I could never show up for myself. It's like if I worked for you and you said, I need you in the office at 6, there's no way I would just come in at 8. That would never fucking happen.
Surprising. That's a rare trait.
You know?
Some people would be like, no, 8. I'm going to come in at 8.
But if you said 6, I'd be there at 5:50 or 5:45 because I want you to be like, oh, Cody's different. Or if you said we're gonna go ride our bikes this morning, I'll see you at the trail at 7.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm just not showing up.
Right.
But if you text me the night before and said, hey dude, sprained my ankle, I can't go, guess who's not going?
Oh, yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
And I'm not riding my bike so you can be healthy. I'm riding it so I can be healthy. So I had to figure out like how do I switch the dynamic and the real like key for me was that because I could always do it professionally, it's not like I didn't have the skill set.
Right.
I just didn't have the reward system built in place.
No.
And so that's what I needed to create so I could do that. Otherwise, and I learned it during 75 Hard because I had done 75 Hard for like 32 days. I got sick, so I failed. And the rule is you have to go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to do that. So I just quit altogether versus obviously for myself, just saying, I'll just pick back up at 33.
Yeah. No one's tracking you.
Yeah. Except for me. And so that was when I realized like, man, my mental thought process about myself is so flawed because obviously I'm smart enough to know it's better to just keep going for 40 more days than to just give up. But that's what I did because I felt like I failed and it was over.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the tale of caution. If you have that big goal and then something happens and now you know you can't hit it, just being like, oh, fuck it. Well, then nothing matters.
Yeah.
You know, you got to
So
find
true.
those moments every day.
Yeah. So true.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that story because I think that when people see other people's success, they never know what took place to get there.
Oh, yeah.
And so they could be sitting or listening earlier and be like, man, he's the CEO of this company and he's an attorney. Like he wouldn't get it. But now they can listen and be like, oh, actually, no, he does get
Totally.
it.
I got 100 more of those stories just like that.
He lost everything, you know? And I think most people who have things that are worthwhile to have will all have something that they lost or some trial that they had or an upbringing that was very difficult. And so I think it's just good to share those because envy is a very dangerous thing.
Yeah.
And if you really understand what it is that you want and what it took to have it, you may not want that. In fact, I have a friend who's an attorney and knowing what he makes now, my younger self would have been like, oh, I'll do that. But knowing what he had to go through to get there, it's like, oh, actually, I wouldn't sign up for that, me personally, you know? But I would have just taken the dollar amount at the time and been like, oh, I wish I had that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have wanted the work that matched the dollar amount.
So true.
So how did you recover from that space? Like, what did you do to pull yourself out of it?
Yeah. So we moved from Vegas, which is where I was running that, to Arizona, moved into my parents' basement. At 27 or whatever with a kid and a wife and lived in the basement for about 9 months. And I went to I was just kind of figuring out what I want to do. I knew I didn't want to go back to law. That was never my plan in going to law school.
Yeah.
So even in that moment, I was like, and it was a tough climate.
Do you think it was comfortable knowing that you could, though?
Yeah, for sure. But honestly, interestingly, I mean, I assume you experienced business in 2008. Were you in business at all? Or were you younger then?
Yes, I was, but I was very fortunate. So I owned my first business. I started in like 2007. I was like 19. I had a cell phone store. And in at the beginning of 2008, Goldman and Sachs bought Alltel. That was who my retailer was. And I knew Goldman and Sachs does not want to run a wireless store. Like that's just, they're never going to do that. They bought it because it's the most profitable wireless business there is. And they are going to fill all of these holes for other wireless companies. They're going to sell it for pieces. So I put my business for sale and sold it in April of 2008.
Okay.
And every other business that was like me, an independent retailer, all were out of business by October of that year.
Yeah.
And so I was so lucky and in fact, the people who bought it from me ended up not making the final payment. And I did go to court with them. And then the judge was like, oh, I have a conflict. I know them. So I'll have to push the case over. And I was like, you guys, forget it.
Yeah.
Like I've moved on. Like I'm not even worried about it anymore.
Interesting.
Like so I had not millions of dollars.
Yeah.
This was thousands of dollars. But the same thing, I was like, look, I've already started my next chapter. Like, I'm not coming back here to go to court with you and argue over it.
So 2008 was a hard time to get a job no matter what you did, especially professionally. Law firms weren't really hiring. So even if I wanted to go that route, it wouldn't have been an easy path. So I had a friend that I went to lunch with that I had known in college, and he owned a construction company doing these things called shade sales. So,
like window shades?
No, like shade sales are tensile fabric structures, to be specific. They're those structures over aquatic centers, pools, playgrounds.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was installing them as a contractor, and he just said, "Hey, I think there's a market here for this. If we can figure out how to make these." He's like
in Phoenix.
Yeah, nationally. But yeah, Phoenix and anywhere. And he just said, so if we can figure out how to make them, he said, we do a little bit of it with this construction company that I'm part owners in, but like, I think there's a global manufacturing opportunity here. Everything is made overseas. And I said, all right. So we bought a sewing machine on Craigslist, set it up in a garage, and built a little website. And I cut fabric, sewed, built these things in a driveway, and just kind of faked it till I got a job. I can do that. And then figured it out, did it, and slowly started to build a process, always with the framework in mind that I was going to have a manufacturing. This wasn't going to ever be me with a sewing machine. It's like, how do I build efficiencies into this? And so by about 2010, we had 4 or 5 employees. He quit the company that he was working with, or sold his interest in that company, came on full time. And we ran this company. I bought him out 3 or 4 years after that, and I grew it to be a multinational. We sold on every continent in the world. And
wow,
my customers were Google, Apple. If you've ever been on a cruise, Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, Coco Cay, their private island, I did the entire island.
No.
All the shade on that island I did.
That's incredible. And you started sewing yourself in
a garage.
That's so amazing.
On a sewing machine I bought on
Craigslist.
Craigslist.
We're 50 minutes in. You just said one of the coolest things.
Sorry about that.
No, not on you. It's just like, that's how good the conversation has been. Like you had that in your back pocket and didn't even have to pull it out.
It was great. And so that was the last company I just sold was that. I had other companies through that time. But
so you ran it for how long
about
then?
15 years.
Wow.
And then sold that. But did stuff all over the world. Sat in boardrooms, like I said, with on crazy projects. And
so, did you end up building a manufacturing plant here in the States, or did you?
In Arizona.
Wow.
So we had, it was about somewhere just shy of 20,000 square feet warehouse where we had big CNC tables that cut the fabric, and sewing machines, sewing tables, sales team, production team.
Wow. So how many employees did you end up managing? Like when it was the largest?
So the largest was about 22, 23, I think, because we built in efficiencies.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's great. If you're doing millions of dollars with only, a handful of employees,
exactly.
That's amazing.
Right. And did work. And it's a niche, right? I mean, it's one of the reasons I kind of wanted to be done when I sold was because there was only so much potential. There's only so many private islands being built.
Yeah.
Plus COVID hit really, really hard. When COVID happened, we had 2 private islands that I'm probably still under NDAs that I can't talk about.
Wow.
But that were in the works, that when COVID hit, got totally shut down. And so a lot of where we had shifted the business, because I had started off just doing lots of little residential jobs, worked up to smaller things and regional parks and stuff, to then where I had most all of our customers were big multinational corporations.
Wow.
But all of them shut everything down they were working on during COVID. So that was a really hairy time and kind of made me reevaluate and go, I think I'm going to move on. I've done this for a lot of years now.
Is that when you moved here?
Yeah. Yeah. That's when I moved here.
So that's so true for so many people.
Yeah. 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 We all overpaid for homes here.
So then your new company, Tdooz.
Yeah.
So how was that born?
Yeah. So 4 years ago, so while I still owned this last company, I was, I had a pretty decently sized home, and then it was on an acre of land, and I took care of the whole thing.
In Queen Creek?
In Queen Creek. I had over 3,000 plants in my yard, hedges, like it was awesome. It was a paradise.
Your neighborhood there was really nice.
It was, if you ever went in there, it was
amazing.
amazing. And so we had all the natural trees, but then all these like English garden hedges and stuff that I built, and I did it all. And I was from morning till night, from probably like 6 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, every single Saturday. All I did was yard work.
Did you like it?
No. I mean, well, no, I liked the result of it, but it was not therapeutic.
So you weren't someone who was like, this is like my thing.
No,
like
it was just a grind like anything else.
Okay, so it's not like playing golf for you.
No, I didn't enjoy it. And one day it reached critical mass, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I went inside, and my wife's like, yeah, no kidding. Why don't you hire somebody? I'm like, what? They're not going to do a good job. And so it was like this, the OCD side of things, right? And so she's like, well, just try to find somebody.
Hold on. So you're OCD too?
No.
I was going to say, because if you are ADHD and OCD, that's kind of a good mix.
Yeah. I mean, I'm particular for sure. And I'm sure there's some people, whoever watches this that know me, they're like, oh no, he's totally OCD. But I'm not OCD. Like, I'm not over here like,
no. So that's the level of OCD that I have too. Everything's got to be the way it's supposed to be. And yes. 100%.
Yeah. I like things the way they are because my brain processes things well that way. And once everything's organized, then we can have a creative conversation. But until then, hey, are we gonna sort that right over there?
Yeah.
That's
exactly
that's making me crazy.
Yeah, that's exactly how I am.
So I was outside and my windows were filthy, and I was standing there hedging one of the many hedges. And I'm like, this is it. And I just sat down in the shade and I got on my phone. I'm like, I got to find somebody to do this. So I start texting all of my friends in the neighborhood. I'm like, hey, who do you use? And the friends were like, I mean, I wouldn't refer my guy. He's not very good. I'm like, well, that's not helpful. Like, and the other people were like, I think my cousin does it. Like, the guy I have is okay, but like my cousin, why don't you give him a call? It was just this abstract thing. I'm like, why is this so hard? You all have nice houses and like someone's doing your yard.
Right.
And they knew my yard. So probably part of it was like, I don't think anyone's going to want to touch that. So finally, after that, I go inside and I get online and I'm like just searching. And so Angie was Angie's list at that point. So I'm like on Angie's list, and I'm trying to find things. And it was all the same experience. Yelp, Google, it was like everyone was serving me up options for me to go do work, to me to go vet vendors, to read reviews. And I'm like, can someone just come to my house? Like, why is this hard? Come give me a price.
Yeah.
Why is this hard? And so in the middle of that, I found a landscaper, and then he came and like destroyed a bunch of stuff, cut a bunch of plants like down to the ground, cut through low volt wire, and just like messed up my yard. So I fired him. And I had a window cleaner that came. It just didn't do a good job, and it was really, really expensive. So all of this happened in conjunction with me going on a trip. I think I was in San Francisco, if I recall right, somewhere in California. And I was at the airport, and I booked an Uber. And I booked this Uber with this problem very fresh in my mind. And I went, oh, this is how this needs to exist.
Yeah.
The pain of an on-demand booking blindly of somebody, putting your card on file, like that's already been solved by Uber.
Actually, think about that for a second. What if Uber was like, okay, so Miguel's driving, Miguel has this many stars, this is his car, it's this year, and then you've got Thomas, and it would be like, I don't want to do that. But no.
And I tell people that. I say when I talk, and we'll get into the specifics of Tdooz, but I'm like, when you book an Uber, you don't know who you're getting.
No.
And so a few minutes later, you see that some guy named Steve is showing up in a Corolla, and he's got 3.9 stars. And I tell everyone, I'm like, do you cancel that ride? And they're like, well, no, right. I'm like, exactly. Because all you actually care about is getting you from A to B without getting murdered.
Yeah. And Uber's good enough that like, it may not be the best, but it's going to still do it.
Exactly. And so my brain was going, okay, this is the solution. So I kind of made a note in my phone. I'm like, okay, go look this up. Go find the app that does this. Because still thinking someone has done this.
Yeah.
So I get back from the trip and I start looking, and no one's done it. There's Angie, there's Thumbtack, there's TaskRabbit. All those companies exist, but they all have different flavors of the same soda.
Yeah.
It's the same process. It's a click funnel that leads you to a bunch of results. Sometimes they give you pricing, sometimes you have to wait for a quote. But I still have all of the work on me and all of the time. And so, but I was too busy with my last company. I was like, I don't have time to do this right now. And so when I moved here 3 years ago, 3.5, and I was in the process of selling my last company, when I finally sold it, I did the requisite, what every person does when they sell a company, which is nothing for a period of time.
Yeah. How was that?
It was good for a few months.
Yeah.
We had some property up on Kolob in the mountains, and I went up and cleared a road every day. I just parked a backhoe and a bobcat up there, and I cleared a road, built a water main, removed trees, like did this until I had that Forrest Gump moment, in the movie where he's running in Arizona and he just stops and he says, I think I'll go home now. Yeah. Like I had that moment on the mountain. I'm sitting there in a bobcat and I turn it off and I go, I think I'll build a business now. and I just stopped doing. We sold that property. And,
you legit just that was it.
Like legit Forrest Gump the moment. And
that's hilarious.
And so then I was like, okay, what am I going to do? And I start thinking, all right, I talked to some buddies who are in the corporate world. I got a bunch of friends that are high up in large companies around the world. And I'm like, hey, maybe I'll try that. They're like, yeah, you wouldn't survive in that world. They're like, not because you're not smart enough, but like you're not wired for the golden handcuffs. So then this idea that I'd had from the past percolated back forward. And I thought, okay, for sure now, because this is just 2 years ago, for sure now someone has done this. And sure enough, I can't find it. I'm trying really hard to find it. I find variations of it, but no one has taken the approach of Uber for at-home services. Yeah. No one had done it. They all had a reason why. They're like, oh, well, we want to make sure there's reviews, or we want them to pick the vendor. And so I thought, that's not the future.
That's so funny too, because I'm thinking about it. I don't give a shit. Like as long as I trust the platform I'm booking them on, then I don't care.
100%.
Because your platform won't have someone who's not good.
That's right.
And so what don't I really care?
And it's on us if we did. We have to own up to it and sort it. And so that was my thought. And so I just got to work and I started. I'm not a software developer. I've dealt a lot in tech, but never a tech company.
Yeah.
And so I started asking around and eventually partnered with an old friend of mine who's here in town who built a web app MVP version. Just because I'm a firm believer in not going and getting money unless I have something to show for it.
Yeah.
And so everything has been me right now. I've just invested all of my own capital in this. And so I built the web app and I got it to a point where I was able to have about 300 beta testers here in town. And I just got a lot of feedback from people like, hey, what do you like? What do you don't like? What services you think need to be on this? What do you not? It initially started as a paid monthly subscription. That was my thought. That's what I wanted personally. But what I found is people had a hard time getting their head around that. Like they wanted more of an a la carte experience. So I shifted, I pivoted and went to purely free app. And then about, I guess for almost 10 months now, we started the development of the iOS and Android native of the app, and they've both been live now for about a month.
Wow!
And so the idea of the app is you can book an at-home service in 30 seconds. So
that's so funny. My wife is literally looking for a landscaper right now because ours just wasn't doing good enough, and so she's like reaching out to people, and people don't show up, or people don't return the phone calls, and it's just like it's kind of a pain in the ass. And it's shocking actually how bad some people are. Like even when we're trying to landscape our backyard, it's like it's a significant project. So it's like a good job.
Yeah.
And people wouldn't show up. Like I had one guy who showed up, did it all with us. And I was like, hey, did you have that quote? He was like, oh yeah, I'll get it to you.
And there's
another week. I was like, so the quote? And it's like, we're talking a lot of money for a business owner.
Yeah.
And all he had to do was get me a quote, like literally do the thing he created his company to do. I never got one.
Yeah. So the idea behind this is the services on the platform will all be ones that can be booked in that short of time. So it won't be handyman services and it's not quoting services. It's just services like a haircut or massage or a piano lesson or like the ones that are on the app now, like pest control, window washing, pressure washing.
I was going to say, so if I wanted to do like a landscaper, obviously that's a one time, but then you could get them reoccurring. And does that still go through you, or would you just do the one time every time you wanted it?
Yeah. So landscaping in the sense of maintenance, yes, that's on the platform. Landscape in the sense of construction, that's not. But we do have a plan for that. So, so the plan long term is just like Uber's got Uber One. I want to get to the point with this where all of the services that can be booked, and if there was an easy way for me to show this to you on the app, I would, but you can look at it later. They'll all be 30 seconds and done. But things that require a quoting service, those will happen later, where you can have a concierge, where you can pay maybe a monthly fee.
Okay.
And that monthly fee gives you your personal rep, Cody. And so you call up Tdooz and you're like, hey, Cody, so, okay, I'm needing to get a bunch of trees planted in my backyard. Who do you guys got? Oh, Cody, actually, or Matthew, we've got a whole bunch of actually really great contractors. When are you available next week? I'm free on Thursday. Awesome. I'll get someone set up to come Thursday morning for you, and we'll be in contact in the next 24 hours and let you know who that is. And that'll just be a personal relationship
awesome.
where someone can help kind of white glove.
And so if I'm, let's say I get a massage, am I paying Tdooz or am I paying
Tdooz?
Okay. And then you're taking care of
Taking care of everything. So we do an 80-20 split with vendors. So
That's awesome.
It's free for vendors to be on the platform, and it's free for customers. We effectively cover the CAC. So we're the customer acquisition costs vehicle.
Right. That's what I was going to say, because anyone that's on there is most likely advertising also independently. And so there's a customer acquisition cost no matter what.
Yes.
And so you're just representing.
And the management. I mean, you're more than just the CAC. And that's the beauty of it for these home service vendors is I really hope, I'm a firm believer, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, with the advent of AI, I really think it's going to drastically affect the white collar workforce in a way that they're not really openly admitting yet.
What do you mean by that?
So I think that that Gen Z, so that are in the workforce, so maybe the 18, I don't even know when Gen Z ends, let's say 25. So the 18 to 25-year-old individuals now. And I think the end of Gen X, so I'm technically Gen X, but the end of Gen X, maybe let's say those in the mid-50s, I think that AI is going to completely replace both of those people, because the people in middle management can now be 4 or 5 times as effective with AI, and they don't need to hire a 20-year-old kid. I'll call them kid, even though they're adults now. And those that are on their way out, who are now highly paid, but their skill sets haven't adapted to the technology, I think it's going to cause a replacement. And there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be looking for work that are going to shift to blue collar opportunities. So I'm hopeful that a platform like
Tdooz, you think blue collar is going to have a resurgence?
Absolutely, I think it will. I think, and we've already seen it. Home service businesses are just exploding right now.
Well, I'm trying to buy one, because what I want to do is, like, I was thinking for my kids. I was telling my wife, I said, what I want to do, and I read Cody Sanchez's book.
Yeah, it's great.
Millionaire on Main Street, right? And I totally believe in what she's saying.
100%.
And so it's like, what I want to do is buy like a detailing business. And my son's only 8 now, but like when he's 12, he can go and help. And then as he's 14, he can help a little bit more. And as he's 16, he can have his own car and go out and do it. And then as he's 18, it's like, look, dude, you own this business, so you can now run it.
It's great.
Or you can like hire someone, but now it's like yours. You know what I mean? I'll help you, and I'll be there as a consultant and advisor for you, help you with your finances. But you can now say, oh, this business is doing $250,000 a year, and I can do it by myself, and that's my living. Or I'm really passionate about this other thing, but I'm going to pay someone $100,000 a year, and I'm going to make $150,000.
Yep. And
all I got to do is manage that guy.
And I hope to empower those people. That's one of the mantras of what I'm trying to build. Is I am a big believer in work. Everyone on my teams and every company I've ever been knows that there's nothing that's beneath me. I'm willing to do any job. I try to learn. In that manufacturing company we talked about before, I'm a certified welder. I went through all the training for that and for lots of other of the trades that are for the company that I did, not because I wanted to be the
Maybe
guy.
That's why they're surprised you were an attorney.
Yeah, probably. Well, I have funny stories about that where I'll be on job sites as like unintentional undercover boss.
Yeah, right.
And it's just like all of a sudden the attorney hat comes on. It's like, actually, this is what the contract. Who are you? I'm like, well, I'm the owner.
Yeah.
Like, what do you?
That's awesome.
So yeah, but because I just want to know. I don't like being lied to.
Yeah.
And I also want to know, and if it's even more than not being like to be lied to, I want to be able to identify what the problems that my team members have.
Well, and your team has so much more respect when they know that you've done it. Like if they're asking you a question and you've done it, they have so much more value in what you're saying.
Yes.
Than because otherwise they're just like, oh, well, you think it's that way, but it's not, And I think that's why I love hospitality. That's where most of my time is spent, because almost every leader in hospitality I meet started at the front desk or in the valet or in the laundry room, and they just worked their ass off for long enough.
Yes.
And it's an industry where without any education other than the one you receive there, you can become the top of a company. And then like I shared a panel with Ron, who is the head of Best Western Hotels for the world. Yeah. And it's like, but he started at a front desk, you know, and that's how it always is. And so I love that industry for that.
Yeah. My last company that we had a heavy sewing, in fact, the most proprietary thing that we did was sewing, and the processes of how we built these fabric that I had built over 15 years, this process. We'd have new people coming in that sew. That to them, I was just the president and founder of this company. Yeah. And I was just in the office, and we had efficiency charts where we knew what certain products would take time-wise to sew, and everyone had to report their time. So there was a checklist of items when it went through the manufacturing floor, everyone had to sign and put their start and end time just so we could track efficiencies. Yeah. And I'd see people that were just totally inefficient and their production was way, way, way down. And I'd talk to their manager. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like they've got to be faster. They're not making us, they're losing us money. And they're like, well, they're trying, you know, but I said, okay. So I sometimes in more raw moments, I'd go out and I'd say, hey, what's going on? Oh, hey, you need to be faster in this. I'm going as fast as I can. All right. Okay. Look, I have not sewn for 4 or 5 years or longer. I said, I want to show you, those that were more belligerent, I said, I want to show you something real quick. I said, just take a seat, pull up a chair next to me. We're just going to call this training time. What's the next thing on the list you have to make? Oh, it's this one right here. Okay, great. Let's bring me that pattern. Okay, good. Start your watch. They're like, what? Start your watch. And I would just sew it. And I would do it, 15 minutes under the production time. And I would finish and I go, look, this is not to make you feel bad. This is to let you know it is absolutely possible. I have not sat behind a sewing machine for years. And before that, I haven't done anything in production for like 10, 15 years that I've been behind a machine. Yeah. You can do this faster. It is possible. You just saw me, the guy that runs the company that you just thought was some office guy, do it. I said, you can do it. And it's important that you do that. So I need you to get up to speed.
I love that. It's so important to lead by example. I remember we had our marketing director, and we do these annual marketing plans for our clients. And I was like, hey, I need you to have all these updated by next week. And she's like, oh, I can't. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, there's not enough time. I said, well, in what way? She goes, oh, it's so much work. And I said, I don't think so. And she goes, oh yeah, you wouldn't understand. Like it takes so much work. And I said, well, let's do one together right now. Yeah. And we'll just time it. I did the exact same thing. Yeah. And I was like, I think we can do it in 10 minutes. And she was like, oh, you have no idea. And so I was like, okay, let's log in. And sure enough, we did it. And she was so pissed because she just wanted to, I think she wanted to portray the task as more difficult than it was. Yes. Right. And then she didn't want like the burden of expectation that it needed to be done. But then once we cleared that boundary, it's like, there is no reason to not be able to get it done.
And it's just a way of thinking. I mean, when I bought my first welder in that last company, I remember we went to the welding supply shop because the reason why was we'd gotten a job for Caterpillar and we were way in over our head and we grossly underbid the job. So we had to figure out how to weld. Because I was like, we can't even send this out. Like we're going to barely break even as it is just buying the steel. So we got to figure out how to weld. So we went into a welding supply shop and I picked the welder. I didn't know anything. I knew thicknesses of steel we were going to fabricate. So I said, what welder can do this thickness? And I went to the desk and I said, okay, I guess we need wire. I'm just learning. I don't really know. And they're like, yeah, there's these 2 types of wire. One has a flux core and one doesn't. And I said, okay, so what's the difference? And they said, well, the flux core wire is faster. It's not as pretty, but it burns hotter and you can get the job done faster. And I said, okay. But then without skipping a breath, he said, but that's way more expensive. And I said, try me. What's way more expensive? And he said, well, and I'm going to butcher the numbers, but the original box was like $30. And the way like 3 times more efficient was like $40. And I looked at him and I said, we'll take 3 boxes of that.
Yeah, because if it's 3 times as efficient, it should be $90.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you're getting a discount. You're getting a 50% discount.
That's the way I looked at it. But you don't, but so often these are the things in training moments that are hard with employees because when you're the business owner, this is how your brain has to think. But so many people that are just making a paycheck and don't have skin in the game, unless you train them to think otherwise, that's just how they're trained. They're like, oh, well, I'm just going to do the cheaper thing because that's how I've always done it. And
well, so at this event that I was at, we make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every time because we donate them to a food bank. And so they donate a bunch of money. They donate the sandwiches. And so you're making as many peanut butter and jelly sandwiches as you can. Yeah. So you get in a line, you got the bread and the peanut butter and the jelly, and then you got to bag it like in baggies. And then you put it in a bag, 2 in a bag, and you put the thing on it. And I'm always fascinated watching people do it. So it's me and this other guy. We're doing the peanut butter. So I take the stack of bread, I put it upside down, I pull the baggage off, so I have all my bread in a row. And then I take the back of a spoon, and so I'm just faster. So one slice, one slice, one slice. And this other guy opens his bag, he pulls out a slice, puts it down, gets a knife, peanut butter's the thing, next one. So I'm like, I'm not going to tell him to do it my way because whatever, but hopefully he'll just see it. So then I made a conscious effort when he got to another bag. I started a loaf at the same time. And I was like, I think I can get through this loaf. And he will do half of his by the time that I'm done. Funny. And sure enough, and it's like if someone across from me was doing the exact same task as me, infinitely faster, I would just copy that person or at least say like, hey, what's your strategy here? But no.
Because that's how your brain is wired, though. And this is back to what you said about, sitting at a table with a piece of paper.
Yeah.
So few people, like, I swear I gamify every single aspect of my life. Yeah.
It's a game.
Yeah. Because to me, I remember, this is stupid. I don't think I've ever admitted this to anyone, but I think it's hilarious personally. When I was when I was 16 and learned to drive, in my mind, I would look at the steering wheel and I had buttons that were like missiles and guns. And so I'd be driving down the street, and I had a spot on my windshield, and I would just be like, missiles, just because my brain is always thinking about gamifying all of the experiences that I have.
Well, and in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to kick this guy's ass. That's what I'm thinking. Right, like, I'm going to show him he doesn't know shit about peanut butter. Yeah. Like that's just my mentality. Cause like I'm going to compete and it's only me. He has no idea. No. He is not playing this
until
game.
It squeaks out at the end and you're like, boom. And he's like, what?
He's not playing this game with me at all. He's not even aware of it. And then I'm watching the whole table. And so his jelly guy is like just kind of chilling, and he's like singing. And my guy is like trying to keep up with the jelly. Yeah. And the other guy doesn't even like pull my bread over or even mention to his friend, like, hey, but because we're all on sides of the table. So my bagging people are like they're sweating, Yeah. And this other side's like lollygagging. Yeah. And usually someone will be like, hey guys, let's go. But again, I was like, I'm just going to kind of see if this plays out. The dude never even mentioned it. Never even came up after. I was like, damn, man, you did because then we would have our bags of loaves. So it was like very evident at the end, like how much fun. But no, nothing.
Yeah. Every food bank I've ever gone to doesn't work. That's unfortunately how my mindset is. It's like, okay, what are we doing? Are we doing beans? Okay, great. Okay, what do we got? What are we working with? Okay, so you here, you here, you here. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah. And you set up your thing.
And you're watching other tables and you're like, you guys only got 10 bags. Dude, we're at 30.
One time we were doing these clipboards for an event and we bought our stickers and put them on the clipboard. So it felt like, oh, it's this branded experience. And so me and the guy I was working with, his name was Drez. He's like, what, do you want to race? And he was like, yeah. And so then I did 100 and he did like 60. He's like, how did you do that? I said, well, one, you're not taking them out of the box before. You're not stacking them in order. You're grabbing the stickers out of the plastic. Like my stickers are right here. My clipboards are right here. And and he's like, oh, I didn't think about that. And so it's just amazing to see in business. That's why certain people are able to do things because the level, there's no skill. I'm just taking the skill out of it and creating a system that makes the most sense.
I love it. No, I'm going to do that. I love that.
Oh, well, I will come and bring some bracelets to Kiln then.
Oh, please do.
So that way you can have them.
I love it. Like, when I saw that, because I saw the TED Talk that you did and I saw you talked about that. And I was like, oh man, that's genius.
Look at you doing your research.
Yeah.
Good man.
Did a couple things.
Okay. Well, we're well over an hour. And I hadn't even asked one actual question.
Sorry about that.
No, that's great. I hope I never have to. I only have these in case my guest, sometimes you ask someone a real great question and they'll give you one word answer. And then you're like, oh, that's it then. So
okay, move on.
So
check.
These are only here if the conversation isn't flowing.
Fair
so
enough.
To me, I measure a great podcast by never having to look at something that I've written down. So I think we're doing great. But you can't leave without answering this question. Sure. And that is, how do you define success?
Ooh. I can define it, I would say, by things that it is not. And then I'll probably hone it out. Success is not money.
Agreed.
Success is the legacy of reputation, honor that you leave with your family and that you leave with a society. I want to be known when I'm done with everything. I don't want on my tombstone. If Tdooz goes as big as I have on my pitch deck as it could possibly go, I never want to be known by wealth. I want to be known by the close people who are around me, who knew me as being a good person, who knew me as looking out. We try really hard with our kids to, we tell them in public situations all the time, be aware of others, be aware of others. Look at what's going on around you. Be observant to the needs of those that are around you. Success to me is being in a position to help other people.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great answer. I really, really like that a lot. When you think about Tdooz and you say so big, what do you think? Do you think it's like an Uber size opportunity?
Not to end on the crass topic of money, but the data that we have, the average spend, and we could spend 10 minutes going through this, but I'll try to boil it down in two. The average spend in a home is $4,000 a year on home services. That's across all demographics, across all the United States.
Sure.
It's much larger in our target demographic, which would be maybe the younger end of Gen X down to Gen Z. It's closer to $10,000 to $12,000 a year that people spend on home services. And home services is broad, but on home services,
house cleanings, window cleanings, gutter cleanings, car cleanings,
correct.
All
the things, air filters, smoke detector batteries, all that stuff. The younger generations, they just spend on it. They don't do it themselves. But taking the $4,000 number, given just single family residences, not talking about vacation homes, not talking about commercial, just single family residences.
I didn't think about that.
If we were to capture 2% of the national market, this would do $7 billion a year.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
And that doesn't include haircuts, massage, piano lessons, all the other stuff that's not even tracked. And that's at the $4,000 a year number. I think it's much higher than that.
Well, and I think that you're probably the number so much lower because there is a level of difficulty to the thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like some of the stuff I don't do just because I don't want to go through the process of doing it.
That's
like
right.
Finding someone, you know, like a power washer. I want to power wash my backyard, but I don't want to find someone to do it.
Yeah.
But if I could power wash my backyard with the same ease as getting an Uber, I would have already done it.
100%. I want people thinking about this when they're sitting in bed at night after the day's over and they're going to watch a show on Netflix and your wife leans over to you and was like, oh shoot, family's coming into town next week. Oh man, the guest room is a disaster. Hold on, and in 30 seconds, okay, it's booked for next Tuesday. They're going to come and clean it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Incredible. Worth every penny.
Worth every penny. And it's not more money. That's an important thing. One of the things that was key for me on this platform, it is market rate for the services. We're handling that with the vendor, and there are no contracts. I want people, I tell people all the time, if this is not the fastest, easiest, and most convenient way you have ever booked a service, then I am not doing my job.
Wow. Obviously we have listeners all over. Is this only in St. George?
Currently, yeah.
Okay.
So we're just now launching. This is not for the SEC. This is not an intent for solicitation for finances. But we're now just starting our seed round. So we've been through verified accredited investors. We've now started that process because the goal is we want to finish beta testing the iOS and Android here in St. George because it's a great market.
Well, and what a great place to test. You got plenty of use case.
Yeah, all demographics. Yeah, and all is socioeconomic as well. It's fantastic, but it's a small market. Yeah. So the plan is over the next 6 months, continue to build out the operation team because I already have my dev team. They're all on board, but continue to build out the operations team and then launch to Vegas and Phoenix in the next 6 months is the hope.
Wow. So, and then remind me, the app is available right now?
It is available.
Okay. So then if you're listening, it's Tdooz.
Correct.
Okay. So if you're listening, go to your app store, but I'll put it in the show notes. So I'll put the link for both apps in the show notes. I'll put the website in there. Matt, anything you want to leave the listeners with?
No, I love it. Just thanks for the conversation. It's been fun.
I'll tell you what, I've had so many of my last podcasts have been on Zoom, like where I'm bringing in a guest from somewhere else. And God, it was so refreshing to have an actual person sitting across from me.
Thanks.
Instead of being like, I feel like energetic, you know, like I'm ready to go now.
You can see my hand gestures.
Yeah, it's so much better. All right, Matt. Well, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much.